flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Wednesday morning. Again, live from the Saratoga backstretch. And live means we can get some great guests in here. And one of those, happy to be joined now by Jimmy Jerkins. Good morning, Jimmy.
Good morning.
And happy to have you on board because, wow, you put together a great weekend. And following up, you had a really good Belmont meet as well. I think, what, 35%?
I don't know exactly what it was, but
it was 35.
It was good, no doubt.
Yeah, very, very nice meet, and then led into as I say, a good weekend here early in the Saratoga meet, which hopefully will set things up a little bit later. And we'll talk a little bit about specifics in a couple of minutes. But before we do that, obviously, son of Alan Jerkins, so you've been around the racetrack for a long time. But just give me a little bit of the background as to how you actually progressed from being the son of Alan Jerkins, and I'm sure around the barns all the time, to being a trainer yourself.
Well, like you say, I mean, every weekend during school, I used to go to the barn and work all summer long, up here during the school break, and then went full-time after I graduated high school, so...
Did you know right away that that's what you wanted to do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. I mean, I always loved the horses. I remember cutting the charts out of the racing form when I was really young and pasting them in a book. And, it was really all I ever wanted to do.
Let me just pick your brain. You brought up a good point because I think we all did that. We either cut them out or I've got the stack of racing forms at home. But give me an idea how the game has changed now because all of that is on the computer. How has that changed the training game?
Well, hasn't changed the way you train or anything like that. It's weird thing about it is the owners just about know their horse works before you do. So, I mean, you get back to the barn, they're like, how come my horse didn't go? How come my horse only went a half in 51? I'm like, what? How could you possibly know that already? So it's kind of strange that way. There's a lot more interference because of that. There's so much more information accessible to everybody.
That's a good point, though, from your perspective as a trainer, though. That also gives you maybe an upper hand because when you're up here at Saratoga, you still have horses down at Belmont, so I'm assuming the technology allows you to keep maybe a little better hand in that as well.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't rely on that anyway. You have your assistants and, things you need to know that you can't see through a computer, that's for sure.
And so how many horses, how is it split up between up here and downstate?
We actually came back yesterday from down there. Right now we only have a half a dozen. We were planning on having more. Turned out some horses went to the farm and others, a couple owners got mad because they didn't have stalls in Saratoga, so they went elsewhere. But, can't keep everybody happy all the time. It's tough.
And it's tough up here at Saratoga, too. As you say, everybody wants to be up here, everybody wants to win up here.
Yeah,
so there's the both sides of the coin.
Yeah, and the stalls are at a premium, so they don't get you can't expect them to. I don't usually run claiming operations, so as a result, I really don't have a lot of starters. I think we have a lot of quality starts with quality horses, but we don't have, we're not known for really flooding the entry box. So as a result, we don't. I'm really happy with the stall allotment I got this year because I thought our starts were pretty light, but I appreciate them for doing that. But again, we do have quality stock too, so that plays a role in it also.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it was a good Belmont meet, and horses like Wicked Strong certainly attract some attention. And again, just for folks who maybe up here at Saratoga, folks might be a little bit new to the game and watching the show from a trainer's perspective. And I read an article where you mentioned a little bit about this. You did have a very good end to the Belmont meet, but again, there's a pro and a con to that too, because that means some of the horses have gone through their conditions.
Yeah, the majority of them will be raising up in conditions, and especially when you're doing it here, it's even double tough. So we're in that position too. But we have a lot of the 2-3-year-olds, Wicked and V, they look like they're finding their best stride. And I think I got not a lot, but I have a few nice 2-year-olds that should be starting here in a couple of weeks or towards the end of the meet.
All right, and let's get on to the 2 3-year-olds who really made your weekend, and we'll kick things off going back to Friday. $100,000, the Curlin at 9 furlongs, and VE Day gets it done. We're going to watch the stretch run here. VE Day will be the number 7 horse under Jose Lezcano. Number 5, Charge Now, will finish second for Bill Mott, and the Pletcher runner Protonico runs third in here. But VE Day, the number 7, just gets up there by a head at 8-1. And VE Day, give me a little feel here, because looking at the past performances, we have 3 turf starts and an off-the-turf start. So obviously the thinking was this is a turf runner, but you took a shot in here and got it done.
Yeah, because, well, he's really bred top-heavy on turf, especially on the English Channel. We don't know how great he was, the turf horse he was. But he himself, you couldn't say he was bred for turf only, so... but the dam is really heavy towards turf, so we started him out on the turf. But then when we came back from Florida, I worked him on the main track a couple of times, and he worked unbelievable. I couldn't believe how good he worked on the dirt. So then I put him in a maiden turf race, and I wasn't. And if it came off, I definitely was going to give him a shot on it because he had worked so well. And he turned out he only won by a neck, but he ran very well. He walked out of the gate like he usually does, and like he did here the other day. But then he sat back there, and when he got his act together, he finished with a flourish. It was really nice to see. And then I said, well, let's go back to the turf, and I didn't really want to run him in an A other than on the dirt at that particular time at Belmont because of the one turn. Plus, those races are very, very tough in the spring. So I thought it was a good opportunity to get him back on the turf and see if he was as good a horse on the turf, and he ran very nice. It looked like he was a winner every step of the way. He gave him a nice trip, and when he asked him, he finished really good, and he won that one. But then I thought I was in the same predicament. Well, I don't want to come up here and run in the 2 other than on the turf against the older horses, especially the inner turf. If the race ends up on the inner turf, I hate running any horse on the inner turf. I think it's not a good indication of how good your horse is. I think the turns are very sharp, and if you draw an outside post, you gotta concede too much in the early part of the race in order to save ground. I think horses are at a big disadvantage, and he's a big, long striding horse, and I didn't want to do that to him. So I thought that saw the Curlin there running against restricted 3-year-olds. I thought it was a good opportunity to see what he could do again on the dirt.
And I was intrigued also, the workout prior to the race. You worked him 7 furlongs, which is kind of an unusual difference. Can we read anything into that?
Well, I thought even though he had a 2-turn race on the turf, I kind of wanted to give him a little. Seems to be in Saratoga, you gotta be a little fitter than usual to win going around 2 turns on the dirt here. For some reason, it seems to be a tiring race going a mile and 1/8 here. And I thought if I gave him a decent. Also, I wanted to see if I should run him in the race. If he worked very well, I was going to give it a shot, and he couldn't have worked any nicer. He worked nice and even all the way, and I was really happy with his work, so that's why we decided to take a shot.
So it all works out, but again, you have a horse here that has some turf form, obviously, now some dirt form. What's up next? You have any plans?
Well, I got to size up his race again the other day, but he's been improving in leaps and bounds. So we're not ruling the Travers out. That's a big jump, no doubt about it. But the 1.25 miles, isn't too many horses want to do it, and he looks like. Although you gotta have a lot of quality to win the Travers, but I think this horse does. Like I said, I think he's improving in leaps and bounds, and he's a big, beautiful, long striding, just gorgeous colt who's just improving with every day, it looks like.
And so it was a big weekend for you kicking off on Friday, but I also noted one of the articles I read, and I'll ask you if it's the truth, Mrs. Bryant, the owner of VE Day, she's part of the syndicate with Wicked Strong as well?
Yes, she is.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nothing like a big weekend for the owner also. And let's shift our attention now to Saturday and the Jim Dandy. Grade 2 event, $600,000 on the line, 1.125 miles. We're going to watch the stretch run here. Wicked Strong will be the number 7 horse under Rajiv Marat. Tonalist was the 4 to 5 favorite in here. That one will run second. Kid Cruz is the number 5, running third. And Jimmy, just give me your thoughts on this performance. Tonalist was the favorite and kind of ranged up but my take on it was, boy, he was never getting by.
Yeah, I don't know. And Christoph was saying all week long, he was, Christoph trains a certain way where they pinpoint a certain race, and Travers is the race that they had in mind, and he kind of didn't crank the horse up like you normally would, just hoping that of course you want to win. Obviously, you certainly want to win, especially when you're a favorite and you've just won the Belmont. But at the same time, so I thought if Toneless was vulnerable, now would be the time. And I thought, and our horse, which he has since he came back from Florida, is just trained incredible. So and we put blinkers on him just as an experiment, not a big closing cup, but just a little quarter cup, just to make him pay attention a little more. And I think it did the job.
And talk a little bit. What was the impetus? I guess you worked him in blinkers. So
Yeah.
what was the impetus for the experiment?
Well, I thought, I don't know if it's true or not, but I thought he kind of ran lackluster in the Belmont, and in the Derby also. Even though he had a lot of excuses in the Derby, I just didn't think he really buckled down like I know he can. And in the Belmont, in particular, because he spit the bit out halfway down the backside, which I thought he was going to be in a perfect position, which he was. Rajiv had him in a perfect spot, and all of a sudden he dropped the bit and ended up losing a few lengths and getting stuck in between horses, which you really don't want. Then Rajiv had to really ride him hard and he ended up running very well. He ended up finishing pretty good and only got beat a length and a half for everything, but still. And he cooled out, and he went back to the barn, and he cooled out very quickly, which is unusual for us that has ran a mile and a half in the hot weather. I mean, I just couldn't get over how quickly he cooled out, and I just thought, maybe he just needs a little something more to maybe make him give us a little more.
And we were actually down doing some interviews on Belmont. We talked to you at the breakfast, and we talked a little bit about you were adding some equipment before the Belmont, and that was cotton in the ears. Still had it in on Saturday. What's the reason for that?
Yeah, well, he got to the point when we got back from Kentucky, when we were getting ready for the Belmont. I wanted to do a lot of the training over on the main track because that's where he was going to run. But our barn is far away from the main track. And he was getting, he was pretty fractious on the way there and back. When he hears a noise, he reacts to it. He reacts kind of, scary. He'll rear up and he'll try to unload the rider. And I mean, we had a pony with him and a guy walking him at his head too. And he still almost got loose one day. So we said we can't go on like this. Something's gonna happen. So. We thought he was overreacting to certain noises, so we tried the cotton, and it seemed to make a big difference. So that's why we did it. And we thought it would help him in the afternoons as well. He seems to react to a lot of noise, the crowd noise, and anything else. So I'm not saying it certainly didn't. He's not picture perfect by any means, but I think it helped enough to where it will help his performance.
How do you come out of the race, and what's the game plan? I'm assuming Travers is on the schedule, and what's the training game plan going to be?
I don't know. It all depends on Some days I don't like. If I thought he lost a little weight, I might wait for I don't really map the workouts like that. I go. I got a general idea, but I'm not gonna. I don't believe in sticking to. You got to breathe on this certain day and breathe this certain day. Depends on a lot of things. But he'll do something similar. I would imagine he'll train something similar to how he always has been. Seems to be doing. Probably have pretty serious work like a week out or 6 days before. I can't see varying too much from that. But again, it depends on a few things.
All right, and Jim, before we let you go, you train Wicked Strong for Centennial. We had Don Little on the other day, and he said, "Is this right? The partnership between the Jerkins and Centennial Farm started with the dads playing polo with one another."
Yeah.
Don said he played against you at one point.
Well, yeah, because they came from we played on. Me and my father played on Long Island, and Don and his father came up from Myopia, which is up in Boston. And they'd come down. The teams would come down and play on Long Island. That's how we got to know each other.
Let me ask you a question, just out of curiosity for myself. I'm not a polo aficionado necessarily, but I've watched it. You've got the mallet in one hand, and you're kind of guiding. So I'm assuming you're guiding the horse. Well, you're guiding the horse with your legs because, boy, they're really. Clearly, they're in close company and they have to make quick moves. So
yeah, well, they're neck reined. They're not open reined like the thoroughbreds. So that's probably why you think it would be hard. They steer with neck rein when you're late, which you don't need two hands to do that. Whereas you need two hands to ride an open rein like the thoroughbreds.
Yeah, it certainly, and you get the feeling, you think riding on a horse, there's not much to that, but I'm thinking that's got to be physically demanding with the mallet and the steering the horse around.
Yeah, you got to be in shape, no doubt. But the horse is like our game. The horse is an awful lot of the game. If you can't get to the ball, you can't hit it. So.
Yeah, and so a team is dependent on the horses clearly. But you get over and watch it at all during the season, the Saratoga matches?
I haven't recently. I used to go when I was playing. And they had real high gold polo here in the '80s when Peter Brandt was running it. It was the best. Now that polo is in the Hamptons this time of year, but yeah, they had the best of the best, and that was just a joy. A joy to watch those great players, and what they can do is just incredible.
Yeah, it is fun to watch, and again, the horses are pretty incredible, close quarters like that. Before we go, though, I did want to, I brought it up because Centennial, I believe it was your first horse, and we're going to go back to 2007, the Metropolitan Handicap down at Belmont. It is Corinthian. Corinthian will be the number 8 horse, trained by Jimmy Jerkins. Actually went on to win a Breeders' Cup race with this horse as well. He also won a Breeders' Cup race with Artie Schurler, but I think I'm correct. This was your first horse for Centennial Corinthian, and this is interesting in the Metropolitan Mile because finishing second that day, political force, Fort Allen Jerkins.
Yep.
So it was a Jerkins exacta. Give us some of your memories on Corinthian.
Well, he had trained absolutely sensational for this race. I think he worked 6 furlongs. He shaded 10 flat for getting ready for the race, and he was. This was a tough field too, and I think he might have went off. I think 6 or 7 to 1.
9 to 1.
Yeah.
And your dad's horse was 24 to 1.
Yeah, yeah. I think my father. I think my father's horse might have got hit with somebody's stick. I think somewhere at the 8th pole. Of course, that made all the difference. He would have won otherwise. I had to hear that for the next few years.
And speaking
he
of that,
came back and won the Suburban in the next start.
Yeah,
Corinthian ran terrible, but so we both got our wins.
I love to see Corinthian now, and I love him with 2-year-olds, and I like to see his name in the breeding lines now.
Yeah.
But Jim, before we let you go, we've mentioned your father, the great Alan Jerkins, the chief. Not up here at Saratoga. Just give us a little update. How's he doing?
He's doing good. He's doing good. He
stuck down in Florida for the season. He stayed down there.
Yeah, he stayed down there. He's got some business down there where he didn't think if he came up north he would really had enough to make a go of it. And plus, it's hard for him to travel. It's hard for him to travel and do the traveling anymore. And he just decided it might be best if he just stayed in one spot. And, like I said, as long as he had the business, it was going to work out. But it's hard to drive around here, especially on the backstretch here, and he's not around. It's just not the same, no question.
And I read an article, and it's not just you, it's not just me. It seems like everybody.
Yeah.
This is Alan Jerkins. He's been kind of an icon up here, certainly for years and years. But the Jerkins name still alive and well. VE Day, wicked strong. A couple of nice 3-year-olds we'll keep our eyes on, certainly as the meet goes forward, as well as your other horses. We wish you good luck for the remainder of the meet.
Thank you very much. Okay, always you need luck.
Yeah. Jimmy Jerkins. All right, that's going to wrap things up for the Wednesday edition of Racing Across America. Again, the sun is breaking through, so if you're on your way up here, I think it's going to be a great day, a nice card. Let's all enjoy the races, cash a few tickets, and don't forget, we'll see you here tomorrow morning for more Racing Across America.
I'm Brian Nadeau of HorsePlayerNow.com. Did you know that each Monday during the Saratoga Racing Meet, all Capital Bets account holders can earn an additional 1% in their play